last one here. I'm dry. I rescind my apology.
It having reached the hour of 5:32, I am calling the May 3rd, 2023 Modesto City Council meeting to order and ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Vice Mayor Ricky.
Present.
Councilmember Bavaro.
Present.
Councilmember Williams.
Present.
Councilmember Wright.
Here.
Councilmember Scutia Brighton.
Here.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Here.
And Mayor Zwellen.
Here. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation from Pat Nagel from Redeemer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Council. Would you join me in prayer? Lord, we just want to start this evening by saying thank you. Lord, thank you that there's just a joyful buzz in the room. We're thankful this evening just to be able to gather freely, to be able to enjoy your goodness as this meeting starts. And Lord, we pray because you've invited us to ask you for anything. We pray for your wisdom and your guidance and your grace this evening. Would there be kindness and dignity and respect as the meeting goes on, and would there be celebration where celebration is necessary? Lord, we thank you for the agenda that's been put together. We pray for the guidance through that you would give wisdom to the leaders, and every voice present would be heard and listened to with grace and, again, with dignity. Lord, we thank you that we can gather, and we just pray and trust you for these things. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Does the city clerk have any announcements?
Yes, Mayor. Just wanted to acknowledge that there was one public comment received this evening, and it was forwarded to the council.
Thank you. It was received. Do any of the council members have any conflicts of interest? All right. Will the city attorney report out on closed session, please?
Yes, Mayor. The council considered a few items under a closed session today. No reportable action was tabled.
Thank you. First on the agenda is acknowledgments and presentation. And number one is our Youth Commission presentation. Presenting will be Helly Patel, our Youth Commission Chair. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Just to introduce myself, my name is Commissioner Haley Patel, and I'm the Chair of the Modesto Youth Commission. I just wanted to start by saying thank you so much for reinstating the commission last year. I know there was a lot of work put into it, and reviving the commission was definitely a really important thing to us. So I want to start by saying thank you for giving us the opportunity and the voice to do that. I know it was fun having lunch, right, Commissioner, right? And just hanging out and meeting the government of Modesto and really just understanding the purpose and where we as the commission can serve for the youth. So thank you. Now I'd like to have the rest of our commissioners introduce themselves.
Hi, Mayor and Council. I'm Noah Wong. I'm the Vice Chair of the Youth Commission, and I'm from Gregory High School.
Hi, Mayor and Council. My name is Hamza Modin, and I'm a sophomore at Enox High School.
Hi, Mayor and Council. My name is Kayvon Benenka, and I'm a freshman at Modesto High School.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Abigail Manzano, and I'm a junior at Modesto High School.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Jocelyn Garza, and I'm a freshman at Gregory High School.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Lola Evans, and I am a junior at Modesto High.
All right.
Am I controlling the slides? Okay, great. Okay, so this presentation is essentially our year in review, what the commission has done. So starting out with our first event, this was a Stanislaus County Commission for Women event at the State Theater, where myself and Commissioner Amina Pierstoff, who is not able to make it tonight, went and gave a little speech. It was about 3 or 4 minutes long. We talked about the Modesto Youth Commission, what our goals were for this year, and essentially the public, the audience was very, very young kids, so we were just telling them that, one day they also have the opportunity to speak about their goals and wishes on the commission like this. It was a great movie called The Swimmers, and there was also a panel after from the Commission of Women, so we got to really enjoy that and to be downtown for the night.
Our next project that we did was we participated in the Stanye Youth Summit. Commissioner Hamza, Commissioner Josephine, and Commissioner Lola all participated in this event.
And so throughout this event, we tried to advertise our city's mental health services and our overall health and fitness resources to the community, and most specifically, our youth committee. Noah and I also served as panelists on that Stanye Youth Summit. And as panelists, we reached out to the community, hearing their concerns, answering their questions, and setting guidelines and focusing on what our goals would be as members of this community. And we're grateful to be able to represent this community, and we look forward to doing so.
So another project the Youth Commission did was having a project during Love Modesto. So we took over the Hope Blooms project off of Coffee and Scenic. And this was originally a program run by Sutter, but they couldn't do anymore, so we decided to take over. We replanted and weeded out and planted new flowers in a lot of the gardening areas, and a total of 15 volunteers worked 45 hours on the garden and the surrounding trails. These are some pictures. We got a lot of youth just from around the area, just beyond the Youth Commission as well, to help out. And our goal with this event, and also just the events we hold in general for the Youth Commission, are basically creating events for our community, and specifically the youth in our community, to share their voice and participate in city government.
And one of our flagship projects was our youth outreach, specifically to those youth who were younger than our ages. And that was first attended towards junior high students. We first went to Mark Twain Junior High School, specifically Councilmember Lola, Councilmember Josephine, and Councilmember Kayvon. Commissioner.
Oh, there you go.
Josephine, Commissioner
Step
Lola,
right up here
and
tonight.
Commissioner Kayvon.
You might be up here one day, so.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Sooner than you think.
Thank you. Well, and as part of this flagship project, we were advertising ourselves and the Youth Commission and the services the city provides to our youth. And we basically asked them to serve on the Youth Commission and hopefully on the council as well in the coming years, so that we can all take part in our government. And so it starts at the youth level, and we are grateful to be able to attend to that youth level. And thank you.
Yeah, Dave.
Just to wrap up, we want to say again, thank you so much, and that we're very excited and ready for next year. The commission, I would say, had a really good first year, and I know that we have 3 commissioners who are leaving, myself, Noah, and Amina Pierstoff. But I know that many of our other commissioners are excited to serve next year, and we're excited also to see what next year brings. Again, I'd just like to say thank you, and I'm excited and looking forward to the engagements and the events for next year as well. So thank you all.
All right. Thank you so much. Stay right where you are, because there may be some council member remarks and questions. I'll open it up to council at this time. Council member Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. You know what? I remember that luncheon over a year ago, and you guys were really excited about getting this project going. Thank you, Lori Smith, for making sure that this got put together. You are our future, and I encourage you to let other students know about the commission, and that get them involved, because some of us are getting a little older up here, and we need new blood sitting up here in the future. So great job, and appreciate your willingness to really make a difference in our city.
Right, Councilmember Williams.
He's the oldest one on the council. For the record, where you are. First and foremost, thank you for your labor of love for the community. And what you've done is you've forged lifelong friendships by being on this board. You've gotten to know each other greater than you ever have. You probably didn't even know each other until it came to this. I do want to say thank you to the Parks and Rec. I know Stephanie's out there and Ashley's out there, and they're very proud of you. I can see the proud looks on their face when you all have spoken. And now, how many of you have spoken before? Is this your first time, or?
I'm kidding. Yeah.
Well, you're doing well, and I'll end with this. John F. Kennedy said, "Our greatest resources are our youth." So thank you for everything you're doing and have done, and those who are moving on, going to college, I presume. Best of fortune to you, and may you come back after you get your education and help the city even better. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Scudia Brighton.
Thank you, Mayor. You all are exemplary. Thank you for the good work that you guys have done this past year. You have produced a work product that is just demonstrates your professionalism, your focus, and the time you guys took. And you just did it like pros, like seasoned pros. And so thank you for that. I know 3 of you guys are moving on to greater heights, but thank you for the work you've done and for leaving behind a example of hard work, an example of just being an overall good example and a legacy, not only to the peers that remain, but to the community. So all of you guys, congrats, great job, and keep up the good work.
All right, any other comments from council members at this time? Great work. This is really impressive, and it's really great to get this report. In the future, if you'd like to invite us to the activities that you're involved in or some of your presentations, if we're available, we would love to see you in action. That would be great. So thank you for being here this evening. I want to thank you for all of your efforts this past year. Your contributions are important to the success and the future of our community. We have certificates of recognition to present to the members of the Youth Commission, and I will bring the certificates down and present them.
Oh, yeah, sure. Their parts are picked.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
There you go.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, you guys, let's go. How should we do it? Commissioner, counselor, council commissioner.
There you go. Thank you so much.
Let's position ourselves.
Oh, she's not
is
here.
not here.
Let's position ourselves.
So that, Abigail,
Thank you so much.
you're very welcome. And
Thank
last
you. I
but not
appreciate
least,
it. Thank you so much.
you're welcome. Thank you for your leadership. Will you be able to get this to me?
Yes, I will be able to.
Okay, good. All right.
Yes.
Well, make sure, can you see everybody's face?
All right, yeah. Yeah, that's perfect. Wonderful. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, no, I gotta get one too. One of my students is in there.
All right.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Amazing. You are amazing. All right, next is item 2, presentation of certificate of recognition to Pacific Southwest Container in honor of their 50th anniversary. Accepting will be John Mayle and Trent Mayle, Pacific Southwest Container. I have a few remarks. In 1973, it seems like yesterday, Don Mayle was the youngest general manager in the Weyerhaeuser system. His entrepreneurial nature prompted him to found an independent company which he named after his favorite airline. Pacific Southwest Container started later that year with one factory serving local businesses in Modesto, California. Over the years, Don worked side by side with his sons, John, in sales and operation, and Jim as general counsel. According to John, his dad did not coin their mantra, learn, risk, grow, serve. He exemplified it. 3 generations later, Pacific Southwest Container is one of the largest and fastest growing independent packaging companies in the United States of America. While its size has grown to over 1,000 team members and 4 locations, its mission remains unchanged: to collaboratively craft innovative, high-quality packaging solutions that balance the needs of its clients with the evolving needs of their consumers. Over the years, as business and consumer needs changed, so did Southwest Pacific Container. Today, under the leadership of John Mayle, Chairman of the Board, and Trent Mayle, President and CEO, Pacific Southwest Container remains committed to investing in innovation, its people, and its craft. Congratulations on 50 years of service. Would you like to step up and make a few remarks?
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Appreciate this wonderful honor. The Mayor and I have known each other since we were 12. Went to junior high and high school together, so we have a long and friendly friendship, and it's pretty special to be here and with you here leading this wonderful city.
Thank you.
We feel really blessed. Modesto's been a great place to, first of all, raise a family, and second of all, to be able to build a business from zero to a high-speed, high-growth business. And it probably would have been difficult to do it in many other places. So we feel, again, blessed to be here, blessed to be part of Modesto, and we really appreciate this honor. And I'm lucky to be able to transition the business to Trent and his wife Ivy and our 1,100 team members. So thank you very much. We appreciate the honor.
All right, thank you. Do you have any comments, Trent?
No, just that we're hiring, so.
Oh, there you go. You show up to the city council meeting. You might get some help. All right, do we have any comments from council members? All right, Jeremiah Williams.
I think it's outstanding that you stayed in Modesto, and we really appreciate that. You could have grown and said, you know, let's move it to another country, another state, but you kept it here. The hub is here. Congratulations. It's incredible. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
All right, so I have a certificate that says, presented to Pacific Southwest Container on this day of May 23rd, 2023. On behalf of the Modesto City Council, I congratulate you on celebrating 50 years in business. I can't believe I'm saying it. Your hard work, commitment, and perseverance is to be commended. So I will bring the certificate down, and thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you. Absolutely. More to come. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Right, thanks, guys. Taking the pictures.
Thank you all.
Take care, Nick.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is item 3. Consider accepting the resignation of Akia Walker from the City of Modesto's Equity Commission. Does council have any questions of staff? Councilmember Alvarez.
If this is hard, if appropriate, do we have a reason why the resignation occurred?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Christina Alger, Director of Human Resources. The reason that was given to us for this particular resignation was personal reasons.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from council members? Councilmember Williams.
I'd like to thank her for her service even in her absence tonight.
Thank you. Next, we will open up to the public. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak regarding item 3? I see one hand raised in Zoom. I don't know if this is regarding item 3. If your hand is raised for item 3. John Williams?
No, ma'am. Waiting for public comment period. Sorry about that.
Okay. At this time, I will close public comments. Are there any other hands raised that you see? Clarifying? No, I don't. No, I do not see anyone in person, so we will close public comments. Are there any comments from council members? I too would like to thank Akia for her service. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
All right, I have a motion from Councilmember Wright. A second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Bavaro. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember Bavaro.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Brighton.
Aye.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Aye.
And Mayor Swallen.
Aye, so the motion carries 7-0, unanimous. Item 4, consider approving the appointments of Frank Damrell, Kenneth Bryant, Nico Solario, Latricia Beasley Day, Austin Grant, Nancy Smith, Brad Hahn, Trish Christensen, and Wendy Bird for the Community Police Review Board beginning on June 15th, 2023, to serve their respective terms and approving the 6 applicants to serve as primary reserve candidates to be considered for appointment if a vacancy occurs within 12 months of the CPRB's initial establishment. So we will have a staff report at this time. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The item before you has been definitely a major focus for staff over the last 6 months. As you know, in December, we brought the bylaws for the Community Police Review Board before you for review and consideration. And this is essentially the result of the work to establish the board. Ooh, there we go. So just for the benefit of those who may not have been along on the journey originally, we know that this important work came out of all of the efforts of the original Forward Together work group. And the 3 main focuses that the work group evaluated were the ideas of policies and practices, alternate response models, and accountability. And that's really what we're going to focus on for tonight relative to the Community Police Review Board, as well as the Independent Police Auditor. We know that these 2 elements are critical in a hybrid accountability model because they work in coordination with each other and they provide both a community review element as well as an independent auditor review element. In terms of the structure and how these 2 elements will work with the city structure, we think it's important to call out that the city manager's office will be the direct point of contact for both the CPRB as well as the IPA. In terms of the organization and membership of the board, these are some highlights from the bylaws just to reorient everyone in terms of their purpose and mission. We know that the board was established by City Council Ordinance number 3753. We know that it is to consist of 9 members who reside within the city limits And we focused on identifying a diverse group of residents that could represent a variety of ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, professional experience, and various neighborhoods and districts in the community to really get a diverse perspective on the board. As part of the review process, every applicant underwent a very extensive background check, and then they were subjected to appointments committee interviews. They had both a first round of interviews as well as a second. And then it was also determined that they would serve a 4-year term with a 2-term maximum. In terms of their duties, they will operate like most of our other commissions and boards. They're going to have a regularly reoccurring monthly meeting. In fact, we anticipate having our meetings on the 3rd Thursday of every month at 5 o'clock. And their focus will be to be a connection to the community, a little different than what we've seen in the past, where individuals can come and they can share their ideas and concerns. They can also submit complaints and ask questions about various policies and practices. If we receive complaints through this mechanism, those complaints will be routed through the city manager's office, and then they will go through the proper chain of command. The unique role of the chair for this board will be that they will have unique access. Anytime there's a major incident or some critical incident develops, they will be notified, and where appropriate, they will be invited to the scene. We spoke about this during the initial conversation regarding the bylaws for the board, and we really wanted to emphasize again that a huge part of the board's initial time will be focused on the onboarding and training element. And given the critical nature and the very technical topics that they will be exposed to, we really want to give them a solid foundation. We know that the individuals on the board come with varying backgrounds of experience and professional expertise, and so we think it's important that everybody get sort of that baseline information. So as you can see here, we plan to, and this is, we don't have a timeline yet, but this will all be scheduled out in, over the next few months. But we're going to obviously walk through the history of Forward Together. We'll be able to go over their recommendations report. We're going to go over bylaws, expectations and guidelines, and even technical things like Brown Act and Robert's Rules. We will make sure that our chair and vice chair are appointed and that their roles are clarified. And then unique to this particular board will be the opportunity to participate in upcoming NACOL conferences where they'll be able to go and learn about what other boards are doing in their communities. In terms of training, we saw some of this with the original Forward Together work group, where they were able to really take a deeper dive into the policies and procedures for the police department. They learned about, their hiring process. They learned about things like the body-worn cameras and how those policies work. In addition, many of them were able to participate in the scenario training and the simulation training. We expect that this board will be able to do the same. And so really just an emphasis on giving them that critical exposure to all of these various topics. So as part of the work to select the board, we took our charge very seriously, and we wanted to make sure that we spread the word about this opportunity to the community. And so we did that through a variety of platforms, social media, our local newspaper, printed articles about it. It was on our website. And then, of course, we had an extensive list of contacts that were registered to receive our Forward Together updates. So we made sure to push it out in that means as well. As a result of all those efforts, we're very proud of the fact that we had 73 applicants for this 9-person board. It was very clear that we had lots of interest, a lot of very dedicated and passionate community members who wanted to participate and make a difference. So as part of that screening, as I mentioned earlier, we did an extensive background check. We also had to verify per the bylaws that they were registered voters in the City of Modesto. They were not to have any current legal claims with the city. And it was important that we knew that the individuals were invested in the community and that they had lived here at least a year prior to applying. And then another element is that they could not be employed with a law enforcement agency for the City of Modesto. They couldn't be active law enforcement anywhere. We did allow for retired law enforcement of other agencies. They were eligible to apply, but no retired law enforcement from the Modesto Police Department were eligible. And then, of course, we had to make sure that there were no conflicts in terms of being related to any city officials. After the screening process was complete, we invited 42 applicants to interview with the appointments committee. Given the high number, we had about 3 days of interviews. We were able to give them the questions in advance so that they could prepare a thoughtful response. We really wanted to hear from them and what their interest was in participating in the board. And after those interviews were complete, we ended up bringing back the 15 highest ranking applicants, and they were interviewed a second time by the appointments committee. As a result of that effort, and much commendation should be given to our appointments committee. They had a really tough job, but they did a fabulous job, in my opinion, of working through that process. They are recommending 9 applicants before you tonight. And then unique to this particular process, this idea came out of the appointments committee in terms of the 6 that were not recommended to move forward at this time. We're asking council to consider that we designate them as a primary reserve candidate so that for some reason, if we should experience a vacancy within the first 12 months, that we go to those 6 first in order to fill the vacancy. So that's also being asked of you tonight. These are the names of the individuals who are being recommended, and Mayor, thank you so much for reading them off in terms of the action tonight. You can also see on the screen the name of the 6 that we are categorizing as our primary reserve candidates, and we do appreciate everyone's interest in applying for the board. So just a very quick recap. I want to just take a look back quickly that in December, we came to you with the draft bylaws and we received direction to move forward with the implementation of this particular board. That started immediately in January. We put out the call for applications. We also then followed that in, very quickly in February. We started the background process. And as you can see, we've worked diligently all along the way to get to where we are at today. And so I'm very pleased to be able to present the recommendation to you tonight, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Right. Thank you very much for your presentation. Does council have any questions of staff? All right. Seeing none, we'll open this up to the public. Are there any members of the public that would like to come forward regarding item 4? I have some blue cards here, but I do not believe it is regarding item 4. All right, I see one hand raised online. Ramon Rodriguez.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. First of all, this is 2 years in the making, and I want to say that food is really smooth. That I told you many council meetings to make it smooth, better, and transparent. And I believe, and hopefully I believe and pray that the new, the Forward Together, the Community Review Board will make a huge difference in bringing the accountability, transparency, and building trust between the police department and the community so that people will have a voice and that law enforcement will have trust in the community once again. So hopefully that this committee will be really successful in the long run and they'll be there. And also, an independent auditor is perfect. And I love this plan. that I hope they'll be really good, and I'll be keeping an eye out, especially coming in for the first meeting on June 15th. And anyways, short words, extremely good. But I'll still keep an eye because I'm optimistic but also cautious. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anyone else that would like to speak regarding item 4, public comment? I do not see anyone in person. Brittany Chavez, I see online.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I honestly don't think it's going to work. That's just my opinion. I'm done.
All right, thank you. Any other comments regarding item 4? Are there any other hands raised? I don't have that screen available on mine at this time.
No.
All right, and I do not see anyone in person. So I will close this public comment time and ask council for comments. Vice Mayor Ricky.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank our staff and everyone involved in putting this forward together, project together that resulted in this, review board. I want to thank everyone that applied for the review board. The public response to that outreach was remarkable, and it feels really good to know that our community cares about our police department and our community that much to want to be involved. And so I think this was a really good testament to how our community feels about law enforcement and also about the hopeful future that our community has.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Williams.
I also, thank you, Mayor. I also want to say thank you to the staff, which was actually the city manager in his role, as well as Allison, Linnell, Dana, and Andrea, and then, of course, the committee, Vice Mayor Ricky, and then our chair, our illustrious chair, Rosa Escudia Brighton. Everything went really smooth, and we were able to get through this, not only the 46 to the 15 to the 9. I thought it was an outstanding process. I know sometimes, Allison, you were probably pulling your hair out because we were coming at you with all these different scenarios. However, it's come together. We're here tonight, and I want to thank all of the 76, first and foremost, who put the applications in, and then the 46 or 43 that came through for the interviews. Our first interview was a little cold, but we warmed up after that and did it a little bit better and more welcoming. And I do want to thank the 9 who were selected. We know you're doing a fabulous job, and I'm really glad that we have the reserve of the 6. Congratulations to all of you.
All right, Councilmember Escudia Brighton.
Thank you, Mayor. I could not be more proud of where we're at today. This is a culmination of a 2-year conversation that has brought the community together with city government for the benefit of every resident that lives here in Modesto. And this entire process was done with the utmost integrity. It was done with transparency. It had immense public participation, and that produces a good product, and that's where we're at today. And everyone rolled up their sleeves and dove into this really challenging conversation that we were all faced with back in the day. And again, we're here, and now it's gone from community government conversation to the council. We did some work back and forth, and now we're giving it back to the community in the form of this 9-member board to continue the work of the community. And what I am very hopeful will be a positive result with open communication and just improved relations for everyone. So I thank everyone that has had a say and a role in getting us to this point. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments from council members? I just have a brief comment that I want to give recognition to Kalua Barnes for her effort from day one in initiating this process. To our police chief, Brandon Gillespie, who from the moment I arrived in this office championed this effort. To Jose Sanchez, our city attorney, who guided us every step of the way. To Joe Lopez, our city manager, who supported me in every way. And I honestly have to give an extreme vote of praise to Councilmember Rosa Escutia Brighton, who literally guided every single word, every line item, every detail, oversaw this from the first moment we discussed it. And I could not be more pleased with your efforts, Rosa. You gave it every bit of your life to make this be where we are today. So I'm extremely appreciative of all of your efforts. I truly appreciate it. When I first came into office, you can imagine all that there was to absorb, but Rosa was right there to guide this process, which was huge for our community. So thank you so much for that. All right, so we have a resolution approving the appointments of Frank Damrell, Kenneth Bryant, Nico Solario, Latricia Beasley Day, Austin Grant, Nancy Smith, Brad Hahn, Trish Christensen, and Wendy Bird for the Community Police Review Board beginning on June 15th, 2023, to serve their respective terms, and approving the 6 applicants to serve as primary reserve candidates to be considered for appointment if a vacancy occurs within 12 months of the CPRB's initial establishment. Do I have a motion?
Motion for approval.
All right, we have a motion from Councilmember Escutia Brighton. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Williams. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Ricky. Aye. Councilmember Bavaro.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Escutia Brighton.
Aye.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Aye.
And Mayor Swallen.
Aye. So the motion carries 7-0. It's unanimous. Thank you very much for your service. Next is our public comment period. Does anyone wish to speak on any item under public comment? This is for items not on the council agenda, and each person has 3 minutes to speak. I presently have 3 blue cards for people in person, and I see one hand at this time raised online. So we will start with Jerry Thompson.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Cruising Culture Modesto has been requested to speak on behalf of the lowrider community. Saturday had taken place a car show / reunion at Cesar Chavez Park. The gathering was called 4th Street Park Reunion. It had a great turnout. 200 cars had been present. They also want to give a special thanks to Councilman Eric Alvarez for coming by and showing his support and bringing his own classic car, 1970 Dodge Super B, Crazy Plum. And so they were very honored to have him there. It really made an impression that a person in their district had come by to show support. So on behalf of the following that had organized this and want to thank Eric, it will be Mingo, Chito, and Big Louie. Sounds like a doo-wop group, doesn't it? And the clubs are called, I'm probably going to butcher this up, but bear with me. Ronflas, Khalifa Style, Rebirth, Estilo, Pandalero, Family Struggle, Boulevard Classic, Boulevard Ronflas, Los Impalas, Bay Bombs, Dedication, Rivals, Abuelitos, Slow Riding, Motown Classics, Straight Eights, New Spirit, and EXP Realty, and Alejandro Bravo and Jeremy Davis. And a special thanks to Betty, Tina, and Esther that had helped them with it also. So I just want to thank you, and also they want to thank the City of Modesto for helping them go through the process, because this is the first one they've ever done. So it was a learning curve for them. And luckily, the city kept the line open to reach back to them and say, hey, you might have forgot this, we need this. And they were able to follow through with it because they want to do it the right way and to show that this wasn't just about making money, this was actually a free event. So people that brought their cars, they didn't have to do an entry. They brought their car and still won a trophy. People that wanted to come and partake and look at the cars, it was a free entry. And then the people that lived in the neighborhood was impressed because they come out the front door and here's a car show that they could see that morning after having breakfast. So they want to thank the City of Modesto for helping them with that also. So, and that's about it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Next online, Ramon Rodriguez.
Good evening again. Well, first of all, the last council meeting, I talked about the issue, the sideshow issue during the Cinco de Mayo on South Modesto on Cross Landing Road. Now this is the time to take back the streets and make it more like a family-friendly community outing where everyone from that neighborhood, inviting everyone in the Modesto community to celebrate the spirit of Cinco de Mayo. And that will include having a car show, and as well as like a cruising on Cross Landing Road after the parade. So that it'll be a really safe alternative to the crazy sideshows that have been happening on Clone Avenue. And the last time I went there was no cops, just a helicopter. So I'm considering that you all take this seriously and make the Cross Landing Road safer, but also to attract more people during Cinco de Mayo, so that they will see the entire Chicano culture, Mexican-American culture on that street, so they can see the cars, enjoy the show, the cruising show, as well as spending money on the local businesses to boost the local economy and get to know everyone. And also June, there will be a Pride Month on June, so I hope you all take consideration and defend the LGBTQ community with a lot of support, because right now, most states, they're being attacked. Their rights are being taken away. And from what I fear now, not for the community, is that Melinda Mason and Don Brunman will be out again, spewing their hate. And I urge you all to stand up against homophobia and transphobia, because we want to show that Modesto is a community of inclusivity and that we cannot allow hate to take over the city. You all remember the first straight Pride and the subsequent events afterwards? That was a fail, because we show up and tell them that hate is not welcome in Modesto. And I urge you all to take a stand and defend the LGBTQ community from all the institutionalized homophobic and transphobic attacks that's happening all over the country, and to show the hate mongers and the bigots that Modesto will not allow hate to be roamed in Modesto. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next in person is Loretta Carhart.
Thank you. Well, what I'd like to talk about right now is because, first of all, we've got people who are very happy because of our city buses and how the kids can ride them and all. Well, lately I've had some things seen that I don't like. These young kids that ride the bus, it's all free apparently for anyone, I believe it's under 18 or even in school. I've witnessed some drivers, and yes, I've tried to write it down so I'd remember everything to say, but I doubt if I do it properly. But some kids are, well, they're trying to get discipline for kids, and there's no respect in lots of times. Lots of kids will just talk and speak in things they should not speak in. In other words, foul language comes from lots of kids. And yes, as I said before, I've written it down, but no, I'm not reading it. But anyway, this speech that's coming out from some kids in some of those words are going to drivers, and it's ridiculous. And I don't know if it's the parents. I'm told by some people it's the parents. I don't believe it's all parents. But I even see kids putting their shoes on those seats, and I know of plenty of people who state, I will not ride a bus because of the filth of the seats. But those seats are clean, apparently every day. And so I don't know what to do, but I'd like to know if there's someone in this whole city who will help. I've been told that the police department can help in some manners, but there's got to be someone that can. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next online is John Williams.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect, thank you. All right, first and foremost, justice for Paul Chavez Jr. and justice for Trevor Siebert. Two wrongful deaths that the city wants to cover up. I just want to start like I always do, with the three names. Paul David Chavez III, Abraham, and Josiah. Paul was accompanied by his wife, three beautiful boys, and a whole gang of family. He did nothing wrong. He had no weapon. He wasn't acting sporadic. He wasn't showing threatening signs. He wanted one thing and one thing only: to be helped, to be held. He wanted someone to understand what he was going through at that moment. He wanted to be told that everything was going to be okay. Not because he wasn't doing anything wrong, but because he knew how you people work. I myself struggle from mental issues, severe depression, severe anxiety, bipolar disorder, and ADHD. I have had multiple run-ins with the police myself. Why did you not shoot and kill me when I had a knife in my hand? Or better yet, a baseball bat? Why wasn't I shot and killed when I physically threatened an officer to his face and all he did was laugh it off like I was a common idiot? I truly want to know the difference, because we both had jobs, we both had wives, and we both lived our lives the same way. We had goals, we had dreams. Why not me? Or was it the fact that he had kids? Or was it the fact that the officers that dealt with my situation were properly trained? I'll let you folks decide that. Anyways, at the end of the day, we lost a father, a husband, a brother, a son, a cousin, an uncle, a nephew, a grandson, a best friend, and lastly, a human being. To me and my family, that is not okay, and nor will it ever be. We love you, CJ. We will keep your name alive. We will get justice. Say his name, Paul Chavez Jr. And let's be polite, Modesto. It's very rude to call people stupid. Lastly, thank God for Steve Allen. That man does a lot for my family right there. And Steve, trust me, it does not go unnoticed. Let Modesto cruise. That's all I have to say.
All right. Just to go back also to Loretta's comments, I wonder if Allison, if you could give her a card for Stan RTA, who now is responsible for the bus system. Thank you. Next in person, we have Lisa Batista. Welcome.
Greetings and good evening. My name is Lisa Batista. I live and work in Modesto. I'm an attorney with the Senior Law Project, which has been operating in Modesto as a nonprofit for around 10 years. Some of you know Joyce Gandelman, who is our founder and executive director. We offer a number of services to older adults aged 60 and above who live in Stanislaus County, including eviction defense, restraining orders, and documents such as advanced healthcare directives and powers of attorney. I'm aware that Modesto residents often approach council members and city staff looking for solutions to problems having to do with the struggle to stay housed. And so I came by to let you know about a relatively new program we have at the Senior Law Project. We've been up and running for about 7 months. We're funded by federal grant funds administered by the State Bar of California, and our services are free to our clients. It's called the Foreclosure Prevention Program. I run the program along with Matthew Mason, who is also here this evening. And I want to tell you a little about the services we offer so that you'll know about this resource and can refer people to us. We help people who are facing wrongful foreclosure by their lender. Often, lenders and loan servicers make calculation errors, fail to credit payments, or cut corners with their obligation to comply with California laws that protect homeowners. We help people who are facing foreclosure because of liens placed on their homes by taxing authorities, homeowners associations, and creditors, including when those liens are the result of solar panel scams that have targeted a lot of older adults in our community. We help older adults who are unfortunately duped by a family member or acquaintance into signing away their interest in their home, often without understanding what they have signed. So basically, if you own your home and you're in danger of losing it, we may be able to help. A lot of what we do involves filing and pursuing lawsuits, but sometimes we're able to reach a resolution outside of court. We don't have requirements having to do with income level or assets, but we do prioritize service to people of limited means, as the goal of this grant is to increase access to legal services in our community. You are all welcome to contact me to learn more and to refer people to me at the Senior Law Project. I've brought a little stack of our brand new brochures, and if it's okay, I'll deliver them to Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next online, Teresa Clutter.
Hello?
Hi there.
Hi. I am here on behalf of Paul Chavez. This month it's been 10 months since his killing from Sam Muncie, and we are still seeking justice for Paul Chavez. Paul was a 30-year-old commercial truck driver. He was just 18 when he got his commercial driver's license. Paul was a caretaker of his 85-year-old grandmother. Paul was a husband to my daughter of nearly 12 years. They were high school sweethearts. Paul was a proud father of 3 young boys. Paul David III, 8, Abraham, 6, Josiah, 5. At the time their daddy was killed. Paul was a brother. Paul was an uncle. Paul was a cousin. Paul was a friend. Paul was not violent. Paul was not a threat to anyone, including Sam Muncie. Paul was having a mental breakdown. Paul needed help. The help murdered Paul. Today, we are at nearly 10 months since they killed him in front of his family. And not a day goes by that this really gets any easier for us. We're just constantly reminded of what we don't have anymore in our family and how we have to come together and pick up the pieces for his children, for his wife, for his other siblings. And we still don't have justice. We still don't have answers. But what we do have is a cocky Modesto police officer named Samuel Adam Muncie, who still carries a gun and still runs around Modesto pretending to protect and serve, when we all know this was his second killing in a short matter of time. And yet, nothing has been done. So, forward together, if you're listening, please look into Paul Chavez, July 14th, 2022. And let me know what you think about that and how you could assist being the new board I give you this challenge and I hope you serve it well. Justice for Paul Chavez. Love you, Paulie.
All right. Next, in person, Ron Deloach.
Madam Mayor, council members, my name is Ron Deloach with the West Modesto People of Action Council, and also a member of the NAACP Housing Committee. I'm here to advocate for more affordable housing in the West Modesto area at the old Muni 9-hole golf course, which happens to be 54 acres. We have spoken before the council, before wanting to find out when you will be deciding on what to do with the property. We, as supporters of what West Modesto, want you to understand the conditions that we are living under: a lack of housing, overpaid for rent, overpaying for rent, bad landlords, unfit housing, along with other issues. We as a committee would like to present a plan for the housing that we would like to see on the 54 acres at the old golf course. We also would like to speak directly with Eric Alvarez, our councilman, who hasn't given us the support we need. We want to know on what side of the fence you stand on as far as being a part of wanting more housing or wanting something else. We haven't gotten a good feel for that yet. We've had a number of meetings with you, and it's unclear. So make us understand what's going on with you and our committee. We'd like to see more affordable housing built in not only West Modesto, but South Modesto, and eventually the airport areas. This is a difficult decision for us to make with everyone wanting the decision in a hurry, but we want to be a thorough group that has an idea of what we want, and we'll be able to present what we want shortly. Thank you for listening, and God bless.
All right, you're welcome.
Mayor, can I respond to that?
Sure.
In brief? Ron, thank you for coming out. I'd like to see more, participation here at these public meetings and voicing, your input. I've been pretty vocal in public about the fact that the City of Modesto at large, and in particularly District 2, needs more affordable housing. I'm just going to read off a couple of efforts here and that are underway to try to shed some light on the mistruth that you just spoke. For the last several months since I've been on council, I've been making housing a priority. I want the public to know that. And I want the West Modesto People of Action Committee to know that and to speak the truth when it comes to my meetings with you all. Okay? Wait.
Well, you have.
You had
All
your
right,
shot.
You know what? I really don't want to, this isn't dialogue time. This is public comment time, so I'm just going to request that we move on from
We'll
this item, and we're
we'll
going to hear
speak
from the public.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so next online, I see Jenny.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm going to ask about something we haven't talked about for a long time, and it's a comprehensive general plan. I'm hoping that it's still in the works and that the council realizes how important this is. We haven't had a comprehensive general plan for probably 20-some years, and we've had a lot going on. The new council has done a lot, but I really hope that they don't forget about the comprehensive general plan. And I want to congratulate the new committee and hope and know that they will do their job. And thank you all.
You're welcome. Next in person, Dylan Miller. Welcome.
Thank you, guys. Good evening. As you said, my name is Dylan Miller. I'm a physical education teacher and the head football coach at Modesto High School. But in truth, I'm here as a representative to the community of West Modesto, as well as youth sports programs, local business owners, and organizations like Special Olympics and the Boys and Girls Clubs of Stanislaus County. I feel it's important to make something abundantly clear from the start. We, that community, are not here in protest. We're here tonight with grateful hearts towards both the City of Modesto as well as Modesto City Schools for considering us for an opportunity, and an opportunity that we feel has the potential for generational impact, generational change in our community. I'm speaking, of course, of the plan, the potential plan to develop the now former Modesto Municipal Golf Course into an athletics complex using Measure L funding. In light of the presentations we've heard, and out of respect to the presentations we've heard, I do feel it's important to mention that the plans that I refer to do not force a choice between affordable housing in Modesto or the athletics complex. My understanding is that on that 50-acre plot, there's plenty of room for both. So I feel it's important to mention that before I go on. But we feel that this development would strike a massive blow to both equity and the socioeconomic status of West Modesto. No longer would local youth athletes be denied access to facilities that would both keep them safe and encourage them to be their best selves. They would have a space that is theirs, they would have a space to be proud of, and they would have a vehicle to change and lift up their community. The pragmatics of this development also cannot be ignored. Think of the increased revenue our downtown businesses would experience as they begin to cater to vastly increased and improved clientele, including but not limited to things like weekend leagues of all sports, special events such as concerts, and the occasional post-game family celebration. In closing, I'd like to mention that no one associated with this cause expects a press conference tomorrow announcing your decision. That's not what this is about. We're here simply to be heard. Our community cares deeply about this issue, and we want you to know that it's something we feel, it's an opportunity that's never going to come by. We're not going to have this shot again. So it would be irresponsible of us to not fight for it. I sincerely thank you for your time. Good night and be well.
All right, thank you very much for your comments. Next online, Brittany Chavez.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm the wife of Paul Chavez. I get everyone has their problems, their hurt, their pain, their grief, but it doesn't mean that that person has to be shot and killed for no reason. My husband wasn't acting erratic. He wasn't being crazy. The video shows everything. It is so sad that this is getting dismissed over and over and over again. And nobody will do anything about it. And clearly we all know what the city can do. You choose not to do anything about it because either one, you don't care, or two, well, you're scared. Well, if you are, go to church. So there's that. Because you signed up for the position of doing right by the people, and still no one is doing right by the people. And I don't understand how many lives it's going to take in order for you guys to understand that. Just moving forward, it's never going to move forward when you have cops involved, especially murderers who are still on the force and still out there with the gun to murder more people. Did you know that Sam Muncie came up to a couple of different people that I know, and they recognized who he was and they seen his badge and they said, oh, we know who you are. And with the smirk on his face and the attitude that he had, he turned around and looked at him and said, good. What kind of attitude is that? So it's okay to murder and you walk around like you're big tough crap? And you can walk around, yeah, that's what I do. That's what I get paid for. That's what your tax dollars do. They go in my pocket so I can murder your family members. That's not right. That's not okay. And that's exactly why I say the things that I say about the cops and the police chief. Because if he gave an ounce, he'd make sure that at least his officer had enough respect not to be acting like a fool. It's bad enough you're already a murderer. What do they say? A murderer's a liar's a cheater. Well, I guess he's all three, ain't he? You guys have a pastor that goes over there, prays. But the thing of it is, Pastor, you need to be getting your people together, your congregation. You need to be praying over that city, not over the council members. Because the city is the problem. The people who run the city is the problem. And if you even care and you know what your title is for, it's by the people just as well. But God goes first, so remember that. And remember what it talks about murderers. You don't have a license to kill. So there's that. My husband went through a lot of stuff growing up, and that's why he had the mental breakdown that he did. His mother died on Mother's Day when he was 17 years old. His father died 3 years after, the same day. It just didn't land on Mother's Day. He was the caretaker of his mother and his father because his father was a double amputee. And then he took in his grandmother, which was his father's mom, for years.
All right, you've exceeded your time. Can you finish your comments?
Yes, I will. What I want to say is with this moving forward together stuff, I don't think it's going to work because of everything it doesn't make any sense. But I want you also to understand when people are actually grieving and they're having a mental breakdown, to please understand that. Because it could have been me because of what I'm going through right now. What if it's my son in 10 years? What if it's your son, your daughter, your mother, your father, your anything? Watch that video.
All right, the comment. Thank you. Next online is Darlene Ruiz.
Good evening, City Council and Madam Mayor. I missed the public comment on the Community Police Review Board, and I just wanted to take a moment to, from the bottom of my heart, thank Rosa for all of her work, for you, Mayor Sue, for making this happen, for Jeremiah, and for Chris, Ricky, and Allison. It's a long process, and I know it's frustrating for a lot of families. Trevor's been gone 2 years and 5 months, and we've been to every city council meeting. We've been to every Forward Together meeting. We went to every meeting on the interviews for the Community Police Review Board. It's important to me that we make change, positive change in our community, and I believe we can do this together. And I see change happening. Maybe some don't, but I really do see it, and I appreciate all of you trying to bring change into our community. And nothing will ever bring Trevor back to us, but we truly hope and pray to stop another family enduring the horrific nightmare of police brutality. I understand how Paul Chavez's family feels, how Sal Betancourt's family feels, and I think that we could do better in our community. I think we could have better de-escalation practices. I also am asking City Council, I believe you're voting tonight for an independent police auditor, and I'm asking all of you to please vote so we can have an independent police auditor and make some positive changes together with our police department and our city council and bridge the gap of trust and build a better community together. I appreciate you guys, and thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak under public comment? All right. Please step forward.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I wasn't going to say anything. My name's Leroy Gambrell. I wasn't going to say anything, but the housing, affordable housing and the property that's over at the Muni Golf Course. I don't know how long these young individuals been in Modesto, but Modesto High School is the oldest high school. They have all these other schools that they put on the other side of town. They put the stadiums over there. And for however long, they have Modesto High School have been without a stadium. So you got over 20,000 people in Modesto that's unhoused. So I don't feel that we need to use that property for a stadium. They passed the proposition to generate money for the Modesto City Schools. If that money, they can use it to go buy property and build a stadium wherever they want to. So I just feel that it's wrong to come and want that property, and they didn't say anything when they was building the stadiums and the schools over on the other side of town, and created the problem that we have, and now they don't want to fix it. So I think that we need to use that property for affordable housing, because that's what we need, and we need to house these people. And most of the people that's sitting here talking about not wanting to build these affordable houses, they have shelter, they have a place. So I think we need to think about the ones that don't have a place, shelter. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else? Please step forward.
Good evening, Mayor Sue and council members and staff. My name's Derek Castle from Park Avenue. We know there's many hundreds of people who are unsheltered in our city, with many using downtown and Crusader Enslin Parks as their campground. But whenever alternatives are discussed, Mo's is brought up. And it's true there was a lot of problems, a lot of ways in which that Mo's model was not very helpful at all. But I've been the chairperson and board member for 4 different non-profit, government-funded organisations that help the homeless. And I want to say it's not that difficult to try and devise something that would be a lot better than what Mo's was. For example, limited size. Mo's was just way too big. Secondly, it should have targeted participants. Campers should be selected by those who work already with the unsheltered folk and who know already who would be suitable for such a situation. Last meeting, the Chief of Police brought up a good point, and that is that we don't want to be having people from, attracting people from Stockton or for wherever. What we need to be doing, though, is quite simple. We just need to choose people for some sort of safe sleeping site who we know have a long-term connection with the Modesto area. And folk like the chat team and others who work with the homeless, they already know who those folk are. So it's not that difficult. And the Chief was also correct 2 weeks ago that we don't want to have a whole lot of police call-outs to any situation like that. However, MPD and chat know already who the folk are who have problems with aggressive behaviour. The simple thing is they just don't get invited. Mo's had very little screening, if any. We can do way better than that. Thirdly, rewards focused. As you know, one of the reasons why Downtown Streets team is so successful is all the rewards that come for those who really participate well. There's no reason why if we'd have a safe sleeping site that we couldn't do something similar as well. One of the things my neighbours who live around Gresada and Enslin are concerned about is folks sleeping in their yards, in the alleyways. This weekend, as has happened before, my wife and I woke up on 2 mornings to someone sleeping on our porch. His name's Eric. He's a veteran and he's a very talented artist. But we had to ask him to move on because our porch was going to be for Porch Fest. What I'm hoping is that the city recognises that we need to have alternative places for people to safely sleep, and hopefully that will come about soon rather than later. Thank you.
You're welcome. This is public comment time for items not on the agenda. Does anyone else want to speak under public comment? Welcome.
Yes, Mayor and Councilman. I said back then I wasn't going to say anything until the gentleman got up regarding Modesto High and a stadium. I'm a graduate of Modesto High, and during the time that I went to Modesto High, any type of athletic events, we always had to go across town to Davis, to Downey. Now the new generation go to Johansson, and there's Gregorian. In the meetings, and we often wonder, well, how come Modesto High doesn't get anything? Well, I understand that it was landlocked, okay, so there was no place to build any type of a stadium. So doing all the meetings stuff that I've been going in the community, never heard anything about a survey from the people that live over there. I hear all this talk about the people that want to build low-income housing over there and compound the issue, put more housing over there, put more students over there for them to go across town. What's going to be done for that? There should be a way that we could address both issues, a segment for low-income housing, but more so to have a stadium that the children in the west side can be proud of, so we can invite people to the west side of town, as opposed to us always going on the other side of town. And the families and stuff that are over there that have children involved in athletics, practicing, all that, they have to go across town. I never even realized that was going on, that they have to transport their kids for all the activities and everything. So low-income housing has always been on the west side. You got the housing project, even where Martin Luther King Park is and stuff, that used to be a housing project. Anytime people look to do something to help low income, they put it on the west side of town instead of bringing it on the north side of town and finding land and stuff that they can put low income housing over there, so low income people can reap the same benefits as all of you do. So tonight, I would like to challenge the council people to work out some type of situation so Modesto High can get an athletic field and then do a segment for the low-income housing. That's what I'll have to say.
All right, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Perfecto Munoz. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I'm here not to talk about the stadium or housing. I'm here to talk about the West Modesto Community Collaborative. I think that's one of the things that we've never really promoted ourselves to you as a group, And it's important that you know the kinds of things that we do and on the west side as it relates to dealing and addressing some of the challenges. One of the things that I thought would be very important for you to know is that we are really an established community-based organization that has been drawn into other avenues of what we do. And that includes working with agricultural workers. We've never done that before, but the need is there because it's been asked of us to do that, and we've done it. And we've used our own resources to do that. We haven't gotten any money from anybody to do it. The other thing that we do is that we have a navigation program. We help families and individuals in the area find resources that they can't find in our area, outside in terms of the other locations. But it would be nice if we had, you know, pharmacists and a docks and a dentist in their area versus having to always send them out. But that's something that needs to be planned out for future in terms of what that community is all about. The other thing that we also have, we have a mortgage relief program. We help families who are suffering with back payments in terms of mortgage and taxes. Up to $80,000 to cover for mortgage, $20,000 for covering back taxes. So we've been helping families in our area as well as the greater part of Modesto. You'll be surprised at many families that come from the other communities in our area seeking help, and we provide it because we're not required or stuck within a zip code. Other thing that we do is that we have community meetings. We have many community meetings covering all aspects of life, from housing to health to education, variety, and the people are really engaged. We had a meeting that Alvarez was at and regarding the Southwest housing. And I must tell you, we had lots of people there, both English speaking as well as Spanish speaking, talking about what are the needs we need. We need a grocery store. We only have one. We need a bank. We have zero. We need a place where we can call, say, the park. We have this money to fix the park and make it more beautiful, but if we're not able to control some of the things that are around us, that park is still going to be a park that's going to be beautiful, but nobody wants to use it. And we hear that a lot from our community, is we don't want to come to that park because we're afraid. But we've been doing a lot of work to try to change that. So those are the kinds of things that we do with the West Modesto Community Collaborative. I'm proud of my team. We've been doing some great stuff. We have what we call a Builders Community Project that is funded by the California Endowment as well as Bank of America to see what we can do to help these individuals to be their own advocates, because we can't continue to enable them. We got to give them the tools. We got to teach them what it's like to understand economic investments, understanding how to do checking, how to understand how you take your resources that are around you and how you can make your life better. So that's kind of what we've been up to, and I challenge you all to come visit one day. Take a look at our website, westmodestocollaborative.com, and you'll be proud of the fact that we have one of the most, I think, best website that is really truly reflective of the community, and you should take a look at it. And our last thing is our newsletter. It's great, and if you're interested in getting a copy of it, just let us know. We'll make it available. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else? Person?
Good evening, Council and Mayor. I'm Aaron Anguiano from the Latino Community Roundtable. I was thinking about homelessness because you had a session on homelessness and comments from the public I was not able to attend. But I was thinking that maybe the city should have a homelessness manager, or somebody that can look at what homelessness models are out there, how to fight homelessness, how to provide efficient services, the most efficient way. Because like the city of San Francisco has spent like $300 million a year and nothing happens. So what models are there that have worked for the homeless? Right now that we have those patrols and looking for homeless people and see if we can help them and provide services. So now the idea is, can we have some safe sleeping places for homeless people and where they can go and provide services? Okay, so what I think, really, we're never gonna get rid of homelessness, okay? We need to stop thinking that we're gonna get rid of it. We need to deal with it, we need to manage it, so we need a manager. And so if we right now chasing the homeless from one place to another and we wanna provide a safe place and to provide services, well, then I see, okay, that's an evolution, we're evolving. We, from being all over the place, maybe we have certain places we can have homeless people and try to help them. And probably having like a homelessness attack plan and with a plan manager, probably within the city manager's office would be a good idea. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, regarding public comment for items not on the agenda.
Hello, City Council.
Welcome.
First of all, rest in peace, Paul Travis, and condolences to those who loved and those that loved him. Second of all, hearing about these deaths being covered up for dismissals is interesting, I guess, considering a while back that an electrician lost his life working for the city, and his 2 co-workers were blamed and fired for it. Second of all, digressing from those 2 points, just I guess in the sense of allowing the people to view the city or see the city how it views them, considering so many problems within West Modesto, to where we come to a confliction of low-income housing or stadium building to either keep families off the streets or children off the streets. Either way, the city of Modesto is a problem, and the direction that it is heading is a problem, because it seems to be very repetitive in the sense that we try to, pardon my Francois, but half-ass fix this town. Because these streets, they get fixed, they're broken again within the week. Maybe more than half the streets in West Modesto are torn apart. How can we even expect that these new stadiums or these new low-income housings are going to be proper or restore any type of hope or expect any type of, I don't know, just a sense of security that you guys are here for us when we aren't promised that these new buildings are going to be any more fixed than the streets or anything else. It just seems like we're trying to expand the problem instead of focus on it and try to fix it. So I just wish that with whatever your decision may be, allow it to be fully thought through and put your full effort into it, because the people are, if you talk to the people and hearing what the people have to say about the city of Modesto, I've yet to hear one person say that they feel appreciated from the city or that they feel that the city cares for them. They have lots to complain about and they have lots of problems with it, which of course everyone's always going to complain and there will always be problems. But I think this could be a time to show change, true change, and that we actually have hope and faith in our lower income housings and neighborhoods. And we look at that not as just a problem that we hope will go away, but a problem that we hope to fix. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Public comment period for items not on the agenda. I see one hand raised, but I believe she's already spoken, and so we will assume that that's for the next agenda item. All right, we will close public comment, and next on the agenda is consent items. An item may be removed from consent and discussed at the request of a member of the public or council member. Is there anyone on the council that would like a consent item pulled for further discussion? I do not see anyone's hand raised. Is there anyone in the public that would like an item removed from consent for further discussion or comment? I see one hand raised, Brittany Chavez.
I'm not there for that or here talking to you about that, but I did want to comment on Eric Alvarez and all those who go in there and are like, you know, playing tit for tat for crap, because that's not right. He's new, and for people to go in there, and I get when he came out and he explained that he was supposed to do, he's trying to make change, and those changes aren't fast enough for people. I get that.
Okay,
But at
Brittany,
the end of the day, you can't just blame one person. You got to blame everybody. So you can't have one man who's going to sit there and everything. So I just want to say that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone in the public that would like an item removed from consent for further discussion or comment? I do not see anyone in person or anyone else online. Is that correct? All right. Will the city clerk please read the consent items?
Item 5, consider approving the minutes from the May 9, 2023 council meeting. Item 6, consider approving a legal services agreement with Swingle Van Edgman Heitlinger in the amount not to exceed $250,000 for representation in tort cases. Item 7, consider approving a third amendment to the agreement with Associated Right-of-Way Services, Inc. for additional right-of-way services for the Hetch Hetchy and Clarentina Avenue Structural Crossing Project, increasing the agreement by $19,460 from $5,885 for a new total amount not to exceed $77,045. Item 8, consider accepting an informational report on the January and February 2023 grant applications and awards. Item 9, consider approving an MOU with Stanislaus County, Stanislaus Consolidated Fire Protection District, the Modesto Fire Department, City of Turlock, and the City of Ceres to continue providing countywide fire investigation services. Item 10, consider approving a First Amendment to the agreement with Odell Engineering, Inc. for additional tasks related to permitting and construction support for the Tuolumne River Regional Park non-motorized boat launch and river access facility project located at Nice Drive for the total amount not to exceed $159,731. Item 11, consider approving a First Amendment to the agreement with Odell Engineering, Inc. for additional tasks related for the preparation of construction of documentation for the Cesar E. Chavez renovation project for a new total amount not to exceed $880,667. Item 12, consider accepting the Synchronization Downtown 2015 project as complete. Item 13, consider approving the First Amendment with Pyro Combustion of California out of Oakdale for annual boiler services for a revised total amount not to exceed $250,000. Item 14, consider accepting the Emerald Sewer Main Emergency Repair as complete and authorizing all payments to Rolf Construction out of Atwater, California, and Curzon and Associates, Inc. out of Clovis, California for a total cost of $66,284. Item 15, consider rejecting all bids for the La Loma Sewer Replacement Phase 1 project and authorizing staff to re-advertise the project for bids at a future date.
All right, may I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Councilmember Alvarez, a second by Councilmember Wright. Will the city clerk please call the roll? Excuse me, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Ricky?
Aye.
Councilmember Bavaro?
Aye.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Scutia Brayton? Aye. Councilmember Alvarez?
Aye.
And Mayor Zwallen.
Aye, the motion carries 7-0. It's unanimous. Next on the agenda is council comments and reports. Do any of the council members have any comments and reports?
Is it possible to take a break, Mayor?
Oh, sure. We'll take a 5-minute break, 7:15. All right, we will resume with council member comments and reports. Vice Mayor Ricky.
Thanks, Mayor. As everyone knows, Porch Fest was last weekend, and wow, what an amazing celebration it is for our community. I went around with my family to 4 porches in our neighborhood, and we saw music that ranged from dueling fiddles to classic rock and R&B and folk and acoustic, and it's amazing. And you couldn't really beat the weather, and you certainly can't beat the price. So to me, it's a glimpse of what I see as the future of culture in Modesto. And to me, that means families and friends walking and biking and skating and just commiserating together while sharing spaces. And in a way, I think that Porch Fest it's established a template that is a vision that revolves around people and places and events and shared culture. And I'm just really encouraged by that event, but also about new ideas that are being developed, like Garage Sale Fest, and we're even looking at maybe a pop-up roller skating rink this summer. So that's pretty awesome. I also want to talk again about new concepts for our parks. Making good use of our parks and making them centers for community and culture, I think should be a priority. And with that in mind, I've been developing a park usage deck. It's basically a slideshow of kind of ideas of activities that we can do in the parks that we aren't doing right now. It'll be posted on all my social media channels tomorrow morning if you want to check it out. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And looking forward to working together with everybody to try to keep making Modesto better. Finally, in terms of cruising, I want to again state that I think it's time that we lift the ban. We've got new police strategies, including the new police plane out there that I think really can help us manage cruising safely. And I think at the very least, we need a pilot program that gives the cruising community an opportunity to show us what it's going to be like. I have faith in our cruising community, and I believe it'll be safe, as they've demonstrated at all their events for the last couple of years. Thanks, Mayor.
All right. Councilmember Alvarez.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to talk about a few things tonight. Southwest Modesto Plan, which was alluded to earlier in the public comments. Bay Valley Tech Code Academy, I had the pleasure of touring that facility earlier in the week, or last week rather, and then housing. So for the Southwest Modesto Plan, we held our first community workshop on May 17th at the King Kennedy Memorial Center. The Southwest Modesto Plan, which is the west side of Modesto, my hometown, my home area where I grew up, it will serve as a blueprint for future development, this plan. And it's going to provide guidance on land use, economic development, transportation, infrastructure, and other issues. And I was very pleased to be part of that creative process, along with many other members of the community, Ron DeLoach being one of them. Literally, we were sitting next to each other. Bay Valley Tech Academy, it was great touring and learning about the work Bay Valley Tech Free Code Academy is doing here in Modesto. The organization offers free tech training to eligible local residents. Gives preference to local residents. My point is attracting tech companies to anchor themselves here in Modesto would greatly increase the economic vitality of our city and of our region. And Bay Valley Tech produces tech proficient employees who would likely I'm confident, will likely get trained here in Modesto and subsequently give preference to stay here and work here in Modesto. But we need to continue as a city to attract tech companies to set up shop and anchor themselves here in Modesto. Especially we're in the era of virtual and Zoom type of work environments. In the vein of housing, the city-wide rental inspection ordinance will activate this summer in July, and I urge residents of Modesto dealing with substandard rental housing, including mold, pest infestations, and the like, to contact my office so we could get them some help and get it on record. In terms of affordable housing, the city will add, and these are the facts here, the city will add 92 units of affordable housing to District 2 over on the west side in Robertson Road, which is where Bellanita Park is. That development will be called Park Area. That's 92 units of affordable housing. We recently approved, the City of Modesto recently approved next steps for the city and an affordable housing developer to seek $50 million from the state for an approximately 160,000 square foot, 6-story apartment building in downtown. That's an additional 79 units of affordable housing in District 2. If successful, tenants can expect monthly rates between $450, the lowest, $1,600, the maximum. It's unprecedented here in California and in the country, I would even venture to say, $450 for a unit. On Vine Street, we have an additional 34 units of permanent supportive housing underway, which is a collaboration with the Housing Authority. That's 34 units for veterans and seniors. On 9th Street, we have another development, another 54 units of permanent supportive housing, 38 units to serve youth, and 16 units for the general homeless population. So let me just recap here. That's 92 units on the Robertson Road area, 79 units on 7th Street, 34 units on Vine Street, and 54 units on 9th Street. The 54-acre municipal golf course is another prospect for housing, which is the city is currently discussing. And from what I understand, the community was not pleased with the initial proposal that was put out. So we went back to the drawing board, and we're now in the process of presenting a new proposal. And that proposal, from what I heard and what I've been engaging with community members about, is they want to see a compromise with half green open space and half housing. And so that's what I've been advocating for since I've taken office, and that's what I'll continue to be advocating for, because that's what folks that I talk to want. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to make known today, and these two gentlemen who represent, number one, representing John Duarte is Gavin, and he comes just about every week that we have council. Thank you for being here. And then also Justin Farkas, who is representing Assemblymember Juan Alanese. Thank you for continually being here each time. Wanted to make note and make that public that you all have been coming and listening and staying as long as you possibly can. I know you got to get to Stockton, so thank you for being here today. Also, we were talking about the Porch Fest, which Vice Mayor Ricky was able to get to 4 of them. I only made it to 3 of them. There were 66 of them in the community. 66 Porch Fest. That's an incredible number. All that means is people were out enjoying one another. There were thousands of bicycles on the street with family members, moms, dads, grandmas, kids. It was a sight to behold. It was a beautiful sight to see, and we were very thankful that no one on the roadways had any incidents. Everyone was able to enjoy themselves. I certainly hope that they made it to work on time the next morning. However, moving right along, the airplane. I had the opportunity to ride on the airplane and to firsthand see what that $750,000 brought us, and it was unique. It was also something that we could have done a long time ago, because of the fact that there were calls for service that went out, and the plane was able to, that camera was able to go 5 miles out, 2 miles out, 3 miles out, and then enlarge itself to where they can actually see what was going on the ground before an officer even got to the location. So it's going to be a tremendous help. I'm so glad that I had that opportunity to be up there, and no, they didn't let me fly the plane, which is a good thing. We wouldn't have a plane. But for the most part, thank all the citizens of Modesto for voting on getting the plane. It will be a tremendous help to our law enforcement and being able to get to that location with eyes on in the sky early on. So thank you. That's it, Mayor.
All right, Councilmember Scooby Brighton.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm delighted to be back here after having been absent and being out of the country, where my husband and I were on a medical mission helping those not well of health. But back in the country and immediately back at work. The reason why I mentioned that is because I unfortunately had to miss 2 council meetings, but now back doing my council work and immediately hitting the road. I am one of 3 committee members on the Appointments Committee, and as was referred to earlier by Deputy Manager, the big heavy lifting of making a recommendation to the larger council in the appointment of the 9-member Police Review Board is behind us, but there's additional other high priority work ahead. Specifically, we have a committee meeting tomorrow where we will be appointing the members of the Measure H Oversight Board, another very, very important initiative that the city is implementing. So tomorrow, the committee will be identifying the 3 members at large. Some members have already been identified for the committee in that every member of the city council was able to identify 1 community member to represent their district on this board. So again, tomorrow, the 3 members at large will be identified and be brought forth as a recommendation to this council for final approval. In addition to the Measure H Oversight Board, we will be filling the 2 vacancies on the city's Audit Committee, another very important committee. Those 2 recommendations will be again brought forth to the larger council at a future council meeting. And lastly, we will also be filling 2 vacancies on the City of Modesto's Entertainment Commission. So lots of good work and appointments tomorrow at the committee, at the Appointments Committee. Again, this is an opportunity for constituents to get involved with city work. If you or anyone you know has any interest in getting involved with city government, the city conversation, being part of the solution to our city challenges, this is a wonderful opportunity. For more information, go to modestogov.com to find out what that process looks like and what areas you might be able to contribute to. Also, I wanted to mention that I was one of many city leaders yesterday who had the opportunity to recognize a fallen officer, and that was Officer Leo Volk, who honorably served the Modesto Police Department until his tragic passing in 1973. He unfortunately died of complications from injuries sustained when he was on pursuit of another vehicle. He left behind, unfortunately, a wife and a child, a son, who was 3 years old. Officer Volk has the unfortunate distinction of being Modesto's first officer to die in the line of duty. In 2018, a portion of State Highway 132 was dedicated to memorialize the sacrifice made from Officer Volk. So I'm glad that that was able to be done in his honor. And may Officer Volk rest in peace, as well as all of our loved ones who have preceded us in death. That concludes my remark.
Thank you. Councilmember Wright?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to publicly thank the few audience that's here. You guys stick with us through the end, and it's sad that we get 50 or 60 people here to do public comment. They don't stick around to hear what the council members have to say on what we're doing. And to me, that's very disheartening. But I want to thank you guys for sticking around. I know those seats are not comfortable like these seats up here, because I used to sit out there, and you got to move around a little bit to wake things up. So I just want to thank you for being here.
All righty. Any other council member comments at this time? Seeing none, I'll just mention one. Last weekend, I had the opportunity, was invited to give a certificate to Vance Kennedy for his 100th birthday. And he is a local geologist. And I walked in, and he immediately crossed his legs and said, "Sit down, I want to talk to you about water." And he said, he gave me all the statistics of how the water flows and the nitrates and all the particles and what they do to the community and how we should be mindful of that. And he talked about how we need to prepare for the future because it's very, very important. And he wants to meet again and again and again. And so I will be doing that any opportunity that I have to talk to Vance about water. I will go on next to the city manager. Does the city manager have any comments and reports? All right, thank you. Next on the agenda is unfinished business. Item 16, consider approving a professional services agreement for independent police auditor services with OIR Group, Playa del Rey, California, for a total amount not to exceed $451,000 over 5 years. And we'll have a staff report.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Allison Van Gilder, Deputy City Manager. The item before you is the second component to the hybrid accountability model that I referenced previously as part of the presentation regarding the Community Police Review Board. As previously stated, these elements work in conjunction with each other in order to provide that independent review that the community has asked for. Again, just like the CPRB, the IPA will report directly to the city manager's office and city manager's office will provide direction. Referencing back to the scope of work that was presented to council back in December, we identified the roles and services that the IPA would be providing. We also spoke to you about their role relative to auditing administrative investigations, citizen complaints, and use of force investigations. We also talked about the type of access that they would have to information, reporting, and training. So just to take a look back, in terms of the roles and services provided, they're going to provide that independent assessment of police practices and procedures and the MPD's response to critical incidents, use of force, misconduct, et cetera. As part of their review, they're going to issue periodic reports. Typically, we'll see an annual report that will come from OIR. However, it is our discretion if there's a particular need for them to audit something more frequently. In terms of internal administrative investigations and complaints, they will also be a mechanism to receive those complaints that will then be routed to the city manager's office and then through the proper chain of command. We will be asking them to review a certain percentage of administrative investigations, those involving lethal force and in-custody death cases, they'll investigate all officer-involved shootings and any in-custody death situations. One of the elements that we want to emphasize here relative to the IPA is that they will also have a direct access to the police department and will be notified as soon as we are aware of a critical incident so that they can begin communicating directly with the chair for the CPRB. Once established, the IPA will also play a role in the Major Incident Review Team, often referred to as MERT, where they will be providing a very timely review of any involving major incident that has occurred. In terms of access to information, it's understood that MPD will be providing the IPA with all of the necessary access to the relevant police department files and information that they have relative to the audits that they are conducting. This will be, the result of this access and auditing will in turn result in the IPA providing critical feedback to the police department as well as to the city and ultimately to council in terms of any opportunity for changes or improvements to our policies and procedures and either validating or reporting back on any opportunities to improve. So in terms of the process for selecting the IPA, at the same time, back in December when we received direction to proceed with the CPRB formation, we also received direction to proceed with the RFP process to retain the independent police auditor services. Staff quickly went to work and we were able to open up the opportunity on December 29th. We did extend the opportunity through March 7th. We had 28 different downloads of the RFP packet, which told us that there were a lot of organizations looking at it. And so that was very encouraging. Ultimately, we did receive 4 comprehensive proposals that were considered for review. In terms of that review, we identified 6 members to a variety of city staff and community members came together to review those written proposals. They were scored and ranked, and then of those 4, we asked the top 2 scoring proposers, to come back for an interview. And so we had a period of review, we came back, and of that, as a result of that, those interviews, we're here tonight to propose the winning proposer. Making up that review panel, we, myself, and we had a representative from our legal team as well as our HR director participate as reviewers. We also invited the Forward Together chairperson, Will Kelly, whom all of you are very familiar with, to participate, as well as Mr. Aaron Aguiano, who I believe is still here. Thank you very much. Mr. Aguiano was, we wanted him to participate as a former member of the Forward Together work group, but also he has a professional background in law as well. And then finally, to round out the experience and perspectives of the review panel, we did ask Police Chief Jeremy Young from the Livermore Police Department to participate in the review. And finally, as an observer, we asked Mayor Zwollen as well as Sergeant Randy Davis from Internal Affairs at the MPD to sit in on the interviews. As a result, we are here tonight to recommend that you consider awarding the agreement to OIR Group. They come to us with 20 years of experience providing independent review of police practices. Their experience spans working with over 30 different law enforcement agencies. They've worked with the California Department of Juvenile Justice, California Department of Corrections, and Rehabilitation. They might also sound familiar to you because, as we referenced in our presentation back in December, as well as in September, this is the organization that the City of Anaheim has worked with for many years. At this, in terms of their expertise, they have had the experience of auditing over 700 officer-involved shootings and in-custody deaths. They've also have adequate experience relative to law enforcement operations, critical use of force incidents, bias-based police practices, citizen complaints, and allegations of officer misconduct. This was a very critical piece to the evaluation panel in that they were able to demonstrate to us that they had experience working with communities as well as working with a community review board. And so with that, they've reviewed over 1,000 complaint investigation files and facilitated intake of those complaints. They've worked with cities and counties and civilian review boards. They've also have adequate experience of hosting numerous town halls and other public meetings. What really spoke to us, at least in this particular process, is the fact that they recognize, with the board being new, they understand that there's going to be a need to establish trust and come alongside the board to work with the community. And based on their proposal, I think they're very prepared to do that effectively. So just quickly looking back, this is a very similar timeline to what we showed you previously, but as you can see, staff worked very diligently between December and now to bring you to this point where we hope that you will find that the recommendation meets your expectations. And with that, be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for your report. Does council have any questions of staff? Councilmember Williams.
Maybe I didn't, thank you, Mayor. Maybe I didn't hear it. So will they be working remotely? Will they live, I don't know, where's the company at? Where are they based out of?
So
Maybe I
they're-
didn't hear it, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. They're actually based out of Playa del Rey, California. So they do a lot of their work remotely, given that it's the nature of auditing, they can do that. I can tell you that they have contracts with many cities in Northern California, up and down the state. So they're very versatile in terms of being able to engage effectively with those cities that they're serving.
But when they're meeting with the board, they'll be present?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, they will be, and it's really those are conversations that we're hopefully going to be able to engage in very soon, depending on council's decision tonight. But they are absolutely available to come to the meetings in person.
Thank you.
All right, any further questions from council members regarding item 16? I don't see any, so, excuse me, Vice Mayor Ricky.
Sorry, I just had one question. So will the independent auditor, will it be allowed to just investigate future stuff, or will it also be looking back at previous policies and incidents?
Not see any other names on requests to speak from council members. So we will open this up to the public. Are there any members of the public that would like to come forward regarding item 16? All right, welcome.
Hello, my name is Matthew Mason. I was on the Forward Together work group, and I also served on the Accountability Ad Hoc Committee, crafting the Citizen Police Review Board and the Independent Auditor. We worked very closely with OIR in understanding what could work for the City of Modesto, and I was very happy to see that they were a finalist in providing the Independent Auditor for the City of Modesto. And as a Forward Together member, I would like to give my stamp of approval to hiring them. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Any other members of the public that would like to speak regarding item 16? I do not have access to the list on my screen at the moment. Let me stop sharing the screen. All right, I do not see any hands raised online, confirming. No hands raised online, and I do not see anyone else in person, no blue cards, no one approaching the podium, so I will close public comments. Any further comments from council members? All right, I just will note that Lisa and Matthew are here, and I think from day one, when this topic came up, I may have heard from Lisa. So it's good that you're here to see this full circle tonight, and I really appreciate it. And I know Matthew was almost there from day one, as far as I noted. But so it's good to have you here. I will call for a motion for a resolution approving a professional services agreement for independent police auditor services with OIR Group, Playa del Rey, California, for a 2-year period with an option for 3 one-year extension options for an annual estimated amount of $85,000 and a total amount not to exceed $451,000 over 5 years, and authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute the agreement. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
A motion by Councilmember Wright and a second by Vice Mayor Ricky. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember Bavaro.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Gutierrez-Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Aye.
And Mayor Zwellen.
Aye, so it carries 7-0, it's unanimous. Next will be item 17, hearing to consider approving an amendment to Plan Development Zone PD 487 to allow 1 or 2-story residential dwelling units, property located on Chicago Avenue west of Gilu Way?
That's correct. Thank you,
Okay.
Mayor. Jessica Hill, Interim Director of Community and Economic Development. Allison, can you help me with that? Okay. Okay, so a little bit of background. The project's location is on Chicago Avenue in between both Paradise and Carpenter. The planned development zone 487 consists of 2 parcels with a total of 1.61 gross acres. And this planned development zone was approved in 1991 to allow for elderly housing. The original planned development since 1991 was never completed and has since expired. So the amendment before you today is to allow for 1 or 2-story residential dwelling units, and it would also allow the existing residents and new 1 or 2-story homes, and there would be no age restriction. So right now there are 4 existing and then 4 new single-family homes approved. And then this amendment itself would again remove the senior housing requirement and allowing new residential development for all ages. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, any questions from council members? Councilmember Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. Jessica, do we have any builders that are interested in doing a project on this particular land?
At this point, this is the most interest we've seen since 1991, and that would be to foster the housing for all ages. And so, yes, he's interested in building on this.
Is this going to be more of a low-income type of housing or just regular market pricing?
So this won't have a low-income restriction or affordability restriction on it. So it would just be standard market housing.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions from council members at this time? I do not see any names there, so I'll now open the public hearing, and I'll ask members of the public to come forward to speak on this item. This is item 17. Is there anyone that would like to speak regarding this item in person? I do not see anyone, and I do not see any hands raised online, so I will close public comments. Are there any council members that would like to make further comments? Seeing none, this will require 3 separate votes. So I first have a motion introducing and waiving the first reading of an ordinance to amend Planned Development Zone PD 487, property located on Chicago Avenue west of Gilu Way.
Motion.
I have a motion by Councilmember Williams and a second by Councilmember Scudia Brayton. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember Bavaro.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Scutia Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Aye.
And Mayor Wallen.
Aye, so it carries 7-0 unanimous. Next is a resolution approving a development plan for Planned Development Zone PD 487. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Ricky, second by Councilmember Alvarez. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember Bavaro.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Scutia Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Aye.
And Mayor Wallen.
Aye. Carries 7-0. Next, a resolution finding that the following subsequent project is within the scope of the project covered by the Modesto Urban Area General Plan Master Environmental Impact Report, amendment to PD 487, to allow 1 or 2-story residential dwelling units property located on Chicago Avenue west of Gilu Way. And I will note that the impact report is SCH number 20140-42081. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Motion by Councilmember Wright,
Second.
second by Councilmember Scudia Brayton. Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Vice Mayor Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember Bavaro.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Scutia Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Aye.
And Mayor Wallen.
Aye, carries unanimously, 7-0. Next on the agenda is new business. This is to number 18, to consider and review the draft budget as submitted by the city manager with the mayor's final budget modifications and combining the documents into the proposed budget for fiscal year 2023-24 and noticing a public hearing to be held on June 6, 2023 for council's consideration and adoption of the fiscal year 2023-24 proposed budget and related actions. So we will have staff report.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. It's quite odd being on this side of the dais for a council meeting. Haven't done that in a while. I am giving this presentation for our distinguished budget manager who could not be in attendance tonight. I tried to grow my beard out, but was unsuccessful in doing so. And a ponytail, and I will do my best to hopefully do him proud. So this action item is specifically in relation to Modesto Charter Section 1303. Within our charter, there are various provisions that dictate how our budget process is to function prior to final adoption of the budget. Section 1303 states that the mayor is to prepare and deliver the final budget modifications in combination with the draft budget, which was approved by the Finance Committee in April. If there's any further modifications, she is to present them 45 days prior to the new fiscal year. Following the receipt of the budget modifications, council shall consider and review any changes to her recommendations, resulting in a document that gets combined into what's called the proposed budget. Once the proposed budget is approved, the council shall set a date for a public hearing, not less than 10 days prior to said hearing. At that time of a public hearing, the council shall act on the proposed budget, and any persons interested to be heard shall be given such an opportunity. So I will briefly go over the general fund, the draft budget that was approved by the Finance Committee in April. The general fund has a total revenue of $178.1 million with expenditures of just over $184 million. That does have an estimated shortfall of $6.2 million. Within the expenditure budget were some modifications that were proposed during the draft budget, and they could be seen on the chart. I will not go through them line by line. We also, as part of the draft budget, includes all of the other non-general funds that we have, including our internal service funds, our water fund, our wastewater funds, the Measure H fund. I'll touch on that in a minute. And all the other various funds that comprise our budget. This is what we consider our total budget. It's not just made up of the general fund, it's made up of all these other special funds that comprise our total budget. As part of the Measure H spending plan, we anticipate revenues of around $40 million of Measure H. We are proposing about $18.8 million in one-time spending with $8.4 million of ongoing spending. We have done our best to try and categorize the different spending plan areas that were outlined in the Measure H ballot measure. Please note that these are kind of loosely categorized. They can fit in multiple categories, so you may see funding in different areas throughout the budget. I'll also note that the remaining Measure H funds total about $14.1 million of the proposed spending plan for the general fund budget. I'll also note that we are on ongoing labor negotiations, which may grow our deficit, for which these funds may be used to cover that remaining deficit. We also are going to designate these funds for future deferred maintenance costs or other projects that may come out through the fiscal year that are available at council's discretion. With that, I will turn it over to Mayor Zwellen, who will read her final budget modification message.
All right, thank you. To the citizens of Modesto and the members of the City Council, it is with great honor and respect that I present for your consideration the proposed fiscal year 2023-24 operating, multi-year, and capital improvement project budget for the City of Modesto. This budget reflects a coordinated effort between the City Council, City Manager, City staff, and myself, and is guided by the policies and priorities set forth in the city's strategic plan. The City of Modesto has a tremendous opportunity to improve the quality of life of its residents with the passage of the Measure H general sales tax, and this organization has a great responsibility to deliver that vision to the citizens of Modesto. The additional revenue from Measure H has been incorporated into the proposed budget for the fiscal year 2023-24 in various ways that will help to address the priorities that were established by the ballot language and by the residents that voted for the sales tax. It has been obligated to prioritize spending in the following areas: funding to address homelessness, funding to support neighborhood police patrols, gang, drug, and crime prevention, funding to support fire prevention and paramedic 911 emergency response, funding to fix and maintain roads and sidewalks, funding to keep parks, recreation facilities, and public areas safe and clear of trash and litter. The Measure H spending plan that has been developed includes funding that will see $10.4 million spent on numerous parks improvements across Modesto. An additional $11.4 million will be spent on public safety, fire, emergency medical services, and homelessness. The spending plan will also include funding in the amount of $1.8 million for curb, gutter, and sidewalk repairs, as well as an additional $1.6 million to combat blight across the city. These are just some of the highlights of the Measure H spending plan, and I'm excited to see what these changes will do for our community and the enjoyment of our residents. In the proposed budget, the city's general fund is facing a shortfall with expenditures exceeding revenue by $6.2 million. Expenditure growth continues to outpace the growth of revenues, which has contributed to this shortfall. Measure H has helped to ease the burden of the ongoing budget deficit, and staff continues to heavily scrutinize the general fund operating budgets to minimize the impact of that ongoing structural budget deficit. The fiscal year 2023 proposed budget also includes recommended changes to the general fund unassigned reserves carryover policy. The current policy recommends placing 1/3 of the unassigned carryover at fiscal year end into 3 different areas. 1/3 to emergency reserves, 1/3 to the pension trust, and 1/3 to deferred maintenance. The recommended change would see a 4th category added and the split changed to 1/4. The additional category would be an innovation fund. This new category would allow general fund unassigned carryover to be set aside for future use for things like economic development projects, homelessness programs, or other innovative initiatives that the council agrees to use the funds on. The idea would be to have these funds ready to go for these innovative investment opportunities for Modesto that could create a remarkable benefit for the residents. As mayor, the charter dictates that I prepare and deliver to the council any final budget modifications to the draft budget. At this time, I have no modifications and recommend that the draft budget, which has been a coordinated effort between the council members, city staff, and myself, be moved forward for consideration by the council in June as the proposed budget. I look forward to a successful collaboration with my council colleagues and to the partnerships with individuals and organizations throughout the city to address issues like homelessness and blight, and to continue the work on economic development, public safety, and affordable housing. Thank you to our council, staff, and community for the support I have received as mayor of our city and for all you have done to improve the quality of life in Modesto. I sincerely appreciate you all. Thank you.
And I will note that when we come back on June 6th, if this item is moved forward to that date, there will be a much more detailed presentation of the different various categories, the spending plan with Measure H, as well as the general fund operating budget. This was just a brief overview, as this is just a technical component that combines both the draft budget that was approved by the Finance Committee as well as any final budget modifications of the mayor. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Does council have any questions of staff? Councilmember Wright.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank our city staff and our city manager, along with our mayor, on the great work, and the council on great work of putting this budget together. One of the things that I was really pleased of, being the chair of the Finance Committee, is seeing that we have a separate separate line item for Measure H spending, and that we are tracking that on a separate, it's not really part of our general fund. It's tracked separate so that our Measure H committee, that's oversight committee, can really see where our money's going to do the things that we told our citizens that we were going to do with the Measure H. I know in years past, it seemed like when something was passed, all that money gets diluted, it gets put in the general fund, for it's not really being used for what intended to be used. And I really compliment our city manager and also our city staff. I'm really looking at that to make sure that our priorities and our citizens' priorities in this city, Measure H money, is going to be used for what we told them it's going to be used for. So I thank you, Joe. You and your team are doing an excellent job. One of the things that we don't do enough of is letting our citizens know what great of a job that our staff does. And hopefully we can rectify that in the future to let them know where our money's being spent, so every citizen in Modesto really sees that we're working hard to make this a better city for all of us. Thank you.
All right, any questions of staff regarding item 18? Jeremiah Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to say thank you to the staff. It was quite an awesome experience having gone through the 3-day budget workshop, and then to know that the questions that we had, by the time we got back from lunch, there were about 12 of those questions that were already written up, printed up, and at our disposal for clarification. And that doesn't happen in a normal city, I would imagine. So thank you to the city, thank you, city manager, and also our finance manager as well for all the hard work. Great job.
All right. Seeing no more questions, are there any members of the public that would like to come forward regarding item 18? Welcome.
Dear Council, thank you. I just wanted to know that I'm pleased to see that you're spending $9.4 million on parks improvements, especially when you see Cesar Chavez Park needs some repairs, and I know there's some work going on, and hope to see that we start breaking ground soon. And also Joseph Park, Joseph Sharp Park, over there on Torred and Councilman Ricky's Park, needs to be fixed. Those bathrooms are really rusty and need to be fixed, but do not close them because then the homeless will be pooping around my house. So just when you do those repairs, just make sure that you put some portables in. But you were gonna fix those bathrooms, but you had closed them for about 3 months, and then I complained. I was one of the neighbors that complained, and so you reopened them. But since 3 years ago, you haven't started doing that work. But I like to see the parks in our minority areas where minorities live be taken care of. The airport park over there needs some beautification or something, because I've seen some of the parks in the north side that look pretty good. So let's do something for the poor neighborhoods. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other comments from the public regarding item 18? I do not see anyone in person, and I do not see any hands online confirming. No hands raised online, so I will close public comments and ask council members for comments regarding item 18. Councilmember Escudia Brighton.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank and compliment the city manager and yourself, Mayor, for being at the helm of this process that is now your budget message. I believe your message is very comprehensive and inclusive of all the funding support that is necessary to make our community a better community. It addresses all the key issues that are important to our community, such as homelessness, public safety, roads, recreation, and a variety of other areas. So again, I know a lot of hard work went into this, and thank you for your dedication and focus on doing our very best to address the needs of our community.
Thank you. Any other council member comments? All right, I will just make a comment that I really want to thank my fellow council members for your input, and hope that you feel it was taken to heart. I am really excited about our innovation fund and where that will lead us for some exciting things in the future for our city. Thank you very much, and also to Stephen Christensen. During this budget time, I see him running back and forth so often, so I know that he puts a lot into this, and I really appreciate that. So I will call for a motion for a resolution combining the city manager's draft budget and the mayor's final budget modifications into the proposed budget for fiscal year 2023-24 and noticing a public hearing to be held on June 6, 2023 for council's consideration and adoption of the fiscal year 2023-24 proposed budget and related actions. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
All right, motion by Councilmember Wright.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Alvarez. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Ricky.
Aye.
Councilmember Bavaro.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Gutierrez.
Aye.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Aye.
And Mayor Wallen.
Aye. Carries 7-0. It's unanimous. Are there any matters too late for the agenda? Seeing none, I am calling this meeting of the City Council to be adjourned.